Howdy, yinz, guys. Merry holidays and such. Um, I am here sharing the incredibly vulnerable aspect of myself that I have confirmed this year, after a couple of years of suspecting and a year of basically having self-diagnosed myself. I officially got diagnosed with autism and ADHD. Can't even remember. I am extremely privileged to even have gotten those diagnoses, and it just kind of fell into my lap because I see my amazing psychologist in the POTS department. I call it the POTS department. It might be dysautonomia. I don't know. At, and so I see her regularly for my health, and she started doing these diagnoses because there's a huge overlap of the people that have POTS, hypermobility, some other things that I've got going on, and that a lot of her patients got going on that are all extremely correlated with autism and ADHD and neurodivergency in general. I didn't really know much about autism until a few years ago, and social media helped that a lot, teaching about like the neurodiversity movement and how autism looks in women, especially like women my age or women that became moms and their children were diagnosed, and then they're like, hey, wait, I have all these things, and then they get diagnosed. It's a lot more common now, especially now that the social media is showing like autistic people showing themselves like what they look like, what we look like, and so you aren't just getting like this like a little boy stereotype. Or sometimes like men. There's extremely different presentations, and a lot of women, such as myself, don't present in a stereotypical manner. Especially because I've also got ADHD, which 60 to 70% ish of people with autism also have ADHD. That is not true in reverse, but so they, especially in women, that look, they cancel each other out. Like on the outside, that's what it looks like, but on the inside, it's just chaos. And I'm full of contradictions. And my whole life, I've been searching for answers to why that is. And like I've always been obsessed with like personality tests and introspection and all sorts of different ways and researching all sorts of stuff. And I never once thought autism. I never once even considered ADHD, knowing how it looks in other people. I didn't see myself in that. Um, and then I learned you could have them both at the same time, which wasn't even diagnosable until 2015 together. And that's also when the autism spectrum happened with combining all sorts of different things to be under the one label, neurotype of autism spectrum. And that's part of why so many more people are being diagnosed now, is that more people are classified as autistic that weren't before. And also now that like the understanding is more out there, and so more people are getting diagnosed because they see themselves that you just never saw before. Anyways, it just kind of stumbled upon me. I was going to go ahead and just be self-diagnosed, even though I was like, am I? I was constantly questioning myself. But as at least a few different autistic creators said, that if they said that neurotypical people don't like research autism for hours and hours and hours and hours and take all the tests and watch all the videos of creators and their experiences and read like medical studies and stuff like that, if they're neurotypical, which is so true. But I also have aphantasia, which is the mind blindness thing. I can't voluntarily visualize, and a couple years ago, I found out that that was a type of neurodivergence as well. So I was already put into that category, and I had seen on social media like before that I really related with a lot of the autistic people. And I'm like, oh, they're just normal, and yeah, no, I'm just one of them, and that's cool. I've never felt more at peace with who I am. I feel like the magic puzzle piece was placed into my puzzle. This piece I've been looking for forever that was like lost, and now my whole life clicks into place. That just everything makes sense. The picture is complete. Not I'll still always be adding, figuring, introspecting, and stuff like that. But this is a huge piece. Being AuDHD, I can understand also why now is the time that I'm getting diagnosed, because as my physical health has gotten worse, my fatigue is really awful. My brain fog is awful. Like pain and other things. It makes it harder to control. My sensory sensitivities are awful. Like this light, so you can see me right now, is making me so angry. It hurts my eyes so much. And a lot of my other sensory sensitivities make a lot more sense now, because that's also one of the criteria. And they just get worse and worse. But the more sleep I get, for instance, or the less pain I have in a day, I will have a little bit more bandwidth. Anyways, I'm rambling. This is what I do. I am fairly absent from almost all of your lives in recent years. It's so hard to exist right now. My health being one of those major things that keeps me away. But it's also this neurodivergence where I get so overwhelmed in social spaces, and I also get flared in pain and fatigue for days after social experiences. And it's not saying that isn't also worth it sometimes, but I'm barely hanging on a lot of the time, and to go do stuff is just really hard. I hardly leave the house. I mean, seriously, I leave the house for medical appointments and occasionally going to the pharmacy or something. But mom's usually the one that does everything for us. Anyways, it's a work in progress. I'm working to try to be more active. And stuff is just things are just really hard. But I keep trying, and it's really vulnerable to share all of this with you, but there's so much disinformation that's going on with autism, especially this year, and it's being framed as a disease, as a plague, as something that needs to be cured, that's caused by Tylenol or vaccines, which no, heavily studied, not a thing. It's kind of it feels kind of like it's been great for myself to know that about myself, but it's also been, I think, the scariest time to have that label also. And I just want everyone in my circle to know what it can look like. It can look like this gal who does Christmas cards with her cat every year for 16 years. 16. Started out as a parody of family photos, whatever. Anyways, yeah, you know I'm quirky, you know I'm different, but you didn't know I was diagnosable until now. And I don't know if you or someone you know is autistic, if you already know that, or if perhaps you find that out soon or whatever. I just wanted to share with you a lot of resources that I found really helpful in my journey. So I made all those playlists on YouTube that you guys can check out, like for adult late diagnosis kind of stuff, and how it can come in, the AuDHD aspect, all sorts of different kinds of things, most of which resonate with me personally. And, some stuff in there for family and or friends that can kind of help you understand what we go through a little bit better than I can explain, because I am not good with the explaining. I use a lot of words to say very little. Anyways, I'm more than willing to answer anything if anybody's interested. If anybody's curious about like my personal experience or anything, but I think you can find out a lot of stuff about autism and AuDHD and such more generally in these playlists and Embrace Autism website. They're just so, they've got so much good information there, and the tests. If anybody's just curious. Another important thing that I just want to make sure people know is that autism is like being on a different operating system than neurotypicals. Well, all neurodivergencies, let's say they're all different operating systems, but neurotypicals all have the same operating system. And people can have different software and different versions and stuff, so it's not like everybody has the same experience over there either. But generally, it takes a lot more energy, RAM, to run a similar program in our world to the neurotypical one. So I can have a Word document in both places, but the programming behind it is different. And so what you see might be very similar, but on the back end, there's a lot of different stuff going on. And that's just really energy intensive. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm really drained. And the sensitivity extends to like my whole nervous system is janky. That POTS related stuff, because that deals with the autonomic nervous system. So I say that I have a janky nervous system, and this is all kind of related to, like, if my body is different, why wouldn't my brain be different? The hypermobility, the POTS, all these kinds of things cause such differences in the body. Of course the brain would be different too. And this isn't a bad thing. It's not a tragedy. This has been amazing for me to know. And I really wish that I had known a lot sooner. Because I think I would have probably lived my life differently and maybe not burnt myself out so many times, trying to be a star peg going into a square hole, something like that, where I keep on breaking off my points, just trying to fit in there. It just doesn't work. Anyways, so if anybody can know anything about this, about themselves, if anyone can know sooner rather than later, I just wanted to share my experience to see if that would make a difference. I mean, I didn't know about autism at all until a few years ago. And so thanks to social media now, that's not the only way. They didn't diagnose me. I did a ton of research on my own and such, but without it, who knows? But yeah, so that's me. Again, we don't need cures or to be prevented from existing. We've always existed, and we are, like, look at me, like the way that I think is very different from other people, and it's great. I'm creative, and I can have done like really cool things. Not the least of which is my cards that I spend so much time on. But like, think of when I was working on all my awesome spreadsheets and stuff. Like, anyways, neurodivergent people are awesome, at least as awesome as neurotypicals. We're just different, and that's cool. And now I know that my quirks are diagnosable, and that's cool. So I hope you learned something from, if not me, then this other stuff. But it's definitely challenging, of course, all of this, like existing like this, and in this time especially, it's unnerving. But I felt like it was really important to share this with my people, so you guys can know why I've been missing in action. But it's not that I don't care. I just get too anxious and I have no energy. And this AuDHD is a huge part of that. So, yeah, I hope I said everything I needed to say.